We are backstage right now with River West Radio. We've got just under a minute to go, and we will be starting Ability MKE Now live on River West Radio. So you can always catch them at riverwestradio.com. And there is a listen live button right on their screen. So you can listen in from wherever you are. And if you're hearing me, then you also found our YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to us there as well. YouTube channel is at Ability Network. And I'm going to go ahead and just be quiet for the next little bit. We've got just over 15 seconds and we will be live on the radio. You're going to love it tonight. We got some great people in the house. Welcome to Ability MKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff. Ability MKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at Ability MKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or with people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at Ability MKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. And I am so excited tonight to be bringing in some old friends and some new. So I know we have a little bit of both in the house, and excited to share some great information with you tonight and some great people. So I am going to start out with our guest of honor this evening. We have Howard Wolpoff joining us, and I am so happy to have him coming in from somewhere much warmer than here, as we are getting all this snow here right now in Milwaukee. Howard is with Southwestern Consulting, and I am so happy to have you here. Come on in and say hi, and go ahead and share a little bit about yourself and what you all do.
Well, hi, Sue. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm Howard Walpuff. I am a sales coach. I work with sales leaders and sales individuals to focus on improving their sales abilities, something that most salespeople were not taught before they actually started their jobs, and be able to give them the strategies, the background, and the tools to be able to excel and increase their revenues and the revenues of the companies that they work with.
And that is such an important skill, and that is not necessarily a thing that comes naturally to people, is it?
No, there's some people do have that natural talent in talking, in feeling people out, but it is skills that people can learn, and just given the right opportunity to do so.
Excellent. So when you first start working with someone, where do you start? Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Well, it's really starting to figure out what their goals are. What are they wanting to accomplish? And from there, we are looking at the timeline, their schedules, because we want to make sure that salespeople are using their time wisely. And you really need to block your time, because you're going to spend a lot of time on the phone making calls. You're going to spend a lot of time in the car driving to places. Some places have you going door to door. A lot of places will obviously have to have meetings. So you really have to make sure you're using your schedule wisely, so that you can then benefit from being able to make those calls and have those opportunities. But then it's starting from start to finish. There's some people who really have no idea what to do when they're having that conversation with somebody. They really have not done any research on who their competitors are, so they can compare and contrast. There are people who do not understand what closing is, or how to close, or the fact that closing really starts when you're developing the relationship, and there's different ways to tease that close and develop it as the conversation is going on. There are a lot of moving parts to sales. It's not just picking up the phone.
I love it. Yeah, I think I know in my own personal experience, I've been involved in different ways where I've been in kind of that sales role and really not knowing what the heck I'm doing, and then wondering why isn't this going like I think it should? Because it should just be easy, right? And no, there are things to know and understand, and to be able to understand people and how to relate to them, and all those things that the more you know, the easier that process is. You being prepared and in a good spot yourself makes all the difference. And that's where someone like you really, really can make a difference for a person.
Yeah, having an understanding of that there are different personalities, understanding your own personality, understanding that people react differently to other people's personalities. So if you're able to kind of pinpoint what the personality of the person is and know how to speak to them, then you can really develop the conversation in a strong way for reaching your goals. And there's so many different pieces to it. Getting someone on the phone to and getting them to want to talk to you as opposed to just hearing it's a sales call and hanging up. Finding different ways to add humor into the mix so their personalities can come out in the conversation. So it's not just a sales call, it's a relationship call, because that's really what it is. People like to buy things from people that they know, like, and trust. They may not know you off the top of the bat of the conversation, but that can develop over the course of one phone call, one meeting, one relationship uh, opportunity connection, and can really benefit from that and learn from each interaction you have to make the next sale even better.
Excellent. So talk to me a little bit about first impressions. How do you coach somebody on that end with how do you make that good first impression?
You always want to put your best foot forward, knowing fully well that you do not know how someone's going to read you. And everyone reads people differently. Like even on the phone, I like to I, I'll call it, I like to tease them a little bit. So if I'm making a phone call to someone, I'll say, "Hi, Sue. This is Howard Walpuff," and then I'll stop talking, and then I'll wait because now the gears are going in their head. Do I know this person? Do I not know this person? How do I know this person from? And at a certain point, I'll let them off the hook, saying, "You might not know who I am because we actually had not had the opportunity to meet yet." Most of the time, a laugh, a giggle, something will come out. Oh, now I realize why I couldn't figure out. You've now changed the whole dynamic. It's not someone just saying, okay, what do you want? It's now you have some laughter going on, and now you can start the conversation of how and why you're calling on them. Is it a referral? Is it someone you connected to on LinkedIn? Is it a cold call? And then start the process of your pitch, but you've now developed personality with them so that they're giving you the chance to have this conversation.
That's huge. And as far as I know you mentioned LinkedIn, I know that has been a tool that in the last handful of years I've recognized as how valuable tools like that are. How do you incorporate that type of thing in what you're doing as well?
Well, there's lots of positives of LinkedIn. The problems with LinkedIn is it's a job in itself. Yeah, I can spend all day on LinkedIn and not get anything done with the way I'm developing things because it's not just the people that you know that you're connecting. You're trying to connect with people who are prospects and you want to develop relationships with them. Some of it is in having a strong brand by posting and writing about the topic that you are that's your industry, that who you are. You want to come off as an expert. If someone's looking at your profile for the first time, they want to get a sense of that you know what you're talking about. So profile aside, it's now developing a way to communicate with people, having some messaging so you're not just like we've all been there where someone just clicks and it immediately regurgitates on them the sales pitch that you didn't expect coming out of the blue. But if you start to nurture a conversation, like I'm reaching out to people and to wish them happy birthday, congratulate them on a new job, their new job, congratulate them on their anniversary, things you get that if you have Sales Navigator, you have access to that in the system. But this now starts a conversation. So now I can say, look, how can I help you? What questions can I answer? How can we get off of this platform and onto a Zoom, a Teams call, so that we actually are talking? I had three of those today, and it was really wonderful. There's a lot of networking between all of us, but also planning to figure out how we can provide referrals to each other.
Excellent. So somebody who's starting out new in the sales arena, where is the best place for them to really get their feet under them?
Well, that's the thing. If you really wanted to know what you're doing, finding a sales coach is a good way to do that, because you're going to get trained on what you have to sell, but not how to sell with wherever you're going to go. And there's only so much that your sales manager will be able to provide you with that guidance. It's a lot of learning on the fly. It's a lot of making mistakes. But if you actually get that training as you go, like we work with people for over the course of a year, and a lot of times it's the company that's helping in the process of getting them this coaching, and is really, it makes changes. We've done some surveys, and 49% of our clients are seeing significant growth in their revenues over the course of the year.
Awesome. So taking that time to understand what you need to do in order to be successful at what you're doing. It's not all about just that product. It's about relationships. It's about how you approach people. There's way more to what a salesperson can do beyond just knowing their product inside out.
Well, think about the fact that if you want to be a lawyer, you spend 3 years in law school. If you want to be a doctor, you're spending medical school plus residency plus all this hands-on training to make sure that you are a capable doctor. If you're going into sales, you get hired by someone, they shake your hand, they send you to your phone, and you start calling with no training whatsoever. And some people swim and some people sink. And I want people not just to swim, I want people to win Olympic races. And that's what I do.
Awesome. So I know we do have a few other friends joining us here as well, but before we get them in the house as well, I do want to make sure if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that? What's the best way to find more information?
The best ways is go to my website, which is Howard Walpuff SWC. So that's WOLP as in Peter, O F as in Frank, F as in Frank, S for South, W for Western, and C for consulting.com.
Perfect. So Howard Wolpoff, SWC.com.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, I do, like I said, with our friends that are joining us here, I want to make sure they have a chance. I'm guessing they probably have some questions, perhaps for you as well. But I think, let's see, I know the lovely Denise Vargas is joining us. Denise, I'm going to bring you in first. How are you tonight?
I am fabulous. I'm sorry I'm a little late, but I did catch the end of what Howard was speaking on. And oh my gosh, I love the the way that you were showing that doctors and lawyers and all these people they go to school for years and then they have in-house training, if you
Mhm.
will, before they even really get to practice on their own. Now, the idea of many of us who are entrepreneurs, we 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 love the idea of being our own bosses or doing our own thing. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes we might love what we're doing, but all of the other things that we don't know about and no one's trained us. And oftentimes that's why people go back to the corporate world because they just don't know how. So knowing that we can call on you to help us out, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's and I appreciate that. Thank you. I had 4 sales jobs in my career, and not a single one of them did I get any type of training on how to be a salesperson. And like when I became a sales manager, that was something I was trying to instill into my staff some level, but not to the level of what I'm doing now. Like I wish I had this type of training when I was the sales director of a radio station and for a digital marketing agency. What we could have accomplished at that point. but that's the challenge that sales managers have. They don't have staffs that really are trained.
Yeah. And again, in any business, um, yeah, entrepreneurship is wonderful, but I know that I am terrible with sales. So knowing that we can have someone train us, that's fantastic. 'Cause you can love your job, your business, your products, your service. You can love all of that. But the selling and marketing and getting people to buy from you, that is hard even for extroverts.
That is very true. And yes, a lot of entrepreneurs go in that they love the work and they love having the clients, but half their job is selling. And that's where I agree with you. A lot of people, it drags them down because they can't make the sale. Or if they get the prospects, they can't make the close. Most people think that there's two ways to close, and sales experts thinks there's five ways to close. We actually teach 15 different ways to close. There
Ooh.
are a lot of different options based on the personalities that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. I love that. Especially a lot of people who are in either network marketing businesses and it's great. Again, you love your service and your product, but how do you get what you love out there to the world? Because as much as you love it, yay, I love it, but how do I sell it?
Yep,
Paul Howard.
That's
absolutely.
it. Well, and we do have Debbie Miller joining us as well. I want to make sure to have her come on in. Debbie, how are you tonight?
I'm cold just like you, so I have my blanket.
Yeah, I've got mine on my lap here as well.
So but
Remind us what you do.
I'm with Legal Shield and ID Shield, and so I help connect families and small businesses with law firms in their area for an affordable amount so that they can actually talk to a top tier attorney, a law firm to help with all of their issues, whatever they might be, including their will. So it's a great thing to do. And being able to explain that to people, but get them to understand that they need to actually do something about it, is definitely an issue because a lot of us think that we don't actually need an attorney very often. And sadly, even our commercials here in my area, we have attorneys that say you might only need an attorney once or twice in your life. And I'm like, seriously, I just used them the second time this month, and it's only, I mean, it's not even the 15th yet. So I don't know where you've been doing, but I use my attorneys, especially since I'm not paying an arm and a leg for them.
Excellent. And I would assume with what you do, sales comes into what you're doing as well, and trying to be able to tell people, like what you're saying, the importance of what you offer. And I'm kind of betting that there's not as much sales training walking in the door with what you do as a person would like, because that's that's the way companies work. They don't have that side. They just say, "Here, I've got this cool thing. You got to sell this. Go, make it happen."
Right, yeah. I feel like a lot of my before the sale part, I have to do a lot of education to just realize that, this is something that everybody from in North America needs it. And we've always just assumed that, the criminals, of course, have attorneys on speed dial, and, the big corporation people, they have those for whatever reason. But you and I, number one, we were already priced out of it from the get-go. And so getting them past those kind of obstacles just to the point where I can actually tell them that, oh, hey, this is a great idea. Why don't you sign on the dotted line or check the box? Takes a lot. It's amazing how much talking that takes in to get to that point. So it definitely is fun, and sales is part of the whole game. So thanks, Howard, for being here and sharing some insight.
Yeah, Legal Shield is a great product, and I've known a lot of people who have sold it in the past and utilize it. And yeah, it's but that's part of it's part of the sales pitch is the teaching and how to share that information. But it's all part of that first part of making that relationship so that it makes having that conversation easier. And then as part of it leading into your pitch and process. So but it's an art. It's not just you have to practice, you have to realize what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. And a lot of times the people don't have that guidance of what they're not doing well. So they just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Excellent. We do have one more friend that is joining us here tonight. Marianne Ambrose, or as we all know, Marianne of Waikiki is here. So Marianne, why don't you come on in and say hello? And I'm guessing you might have a question or two for Howard yourself. Marianne, how are you?
Well, aloha, Milwaukee. Yeah, I'm Marianne of Waikiki. It's my book author name and my sign language name. But yeah, 30 some years ago, I was a case manager with the deaf at a mental health agency, and my college friends were working in the cellular industry at that time. So I rolled over and I became a inside customer rep when the 3-watt bag phones were just starting out. So if that tells you anything, and yes, we were trained. And the cool thing was because I got to travel from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Detroit, and all my college friends lived there. And they paid for our training and my mileage. So I got to visit my college sorority sisters there and then came back and worked out of a center. And I also went into medical sales and called on pediatricians, pulmonologists, and allergists. So I've had my experience. So it's good when you have a good product. It's good when they pay you for your time as well and travel and training and bonuses. But it's a letdown when they tell you they no longer need your services, and it could become a product or your skills. So, anyway, the good thing is I moved on and I went to Hawaii and I ended up interpreting for a deaf man for over a decade. I got to live the dream on a sailboat there. And through the universe, I asked what my next purpose was, and I was guided. I was going to write a series of children's sign language books with puppets, and that's Folk Manus Puppets. And they have 200 puppets. So I'm kind of back in sales. They're in my employees. They don't talk back to me, they sign back to me to let me know the status. And we've been working on this for almost a decade now, which I'm really excited. We're completing the 4th book for Leon McLaughlin with Clean Water Foundation. And our books are written for animation movies with sign language characters and a soundtrack by Lucy Lynch in The Perfect Way. And it's for ocean cleanup, anti-bullying, climate change. And we also were free downloading the books on certain days, such as Christmas event with Zach Clayton. And Debbie Miller was reading the book. So maybe I can get some testimonial feedback. So it's kind of hard to be your one-woman show again. Okay. And, but I'm listening to other people through HNP, through World of Ability, through the JV directory, Gary giving pitches, how to be on camera. So there's a lot of other tools out there that we have all met through the World of Ability. So, and I'm filling out grants to get the money to bring them into animation. So there's been, the creative side came out, create your own sales and marketing. And I won the awesome Grant Foundation Award in Honolulu, the Oahu chapter. And we gifted them in October, Anti-Bullying Month, a water unit through Clean Water Foundation and the books, Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully, and a set of the puppets and coloring books. So World Water Day is March 22nd, 2025. We're going to download the book for free. And Leanne will be joining us in March on this radio show. I just spoke with him too, Sue, so we'll have plenty to talk about. But Debbie, can you give me a little testimonial about Underwater Acts of Kindness featuring the General of the New Earth Army? And Noah, the hard of hearing whale.
Oh, so yeah, lots of cute little animals, and the sign language is cool to learn and to share. So it's just a great intro for anybody. But I have shared it with my deaf cousin and her family. So It was great to be able to share that with some friends that I know and try to get it into their schools where they're, some of my cousins are actually teachers, so getting that word out even farther. So thanks, Marianne.
Excellent. Oh, so glad to hear that. And connections that we make through different networking organizations. I don't know if people, well, let me put this in my own perspective here, from my perspective, that I did not understand the importance of networking and going to networking organizations like Happy Neighborhood Project or through Alignable, or there's a lot of different organizations like that. Even your local clubs, like if you belong to a Kiwanis or an Optimist Club, being able to actually connect with other people and build relationships. Actually, Howard, I just want to ask you about that as far as when you're talking about developing relationships and how that's all involved in the sales process and how you get good at the craft of being in sales. How important is it to put yourself out there with these different organizations to, in my mind, it's like to get some practice and to build those relationships. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, networking is a huge, huge part of being a good salesperson because you want to build your network because if you're doing things correctly, people know the value of what you do and they're sending you referrals even without you asking them, or people are hearing about what you're doing, so they're calling on you without having to go sell them. So the more you nurture a relationship, the more you nurture a network, the better the opportunities are for them to know, because you don't know everybody, but your network can then bring you different types of people. If you're looking for a specific person that is your sales avatar, and it's the more work you can do, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual, whether it's really utilizing the network on LinkedIn to develop these relationships further and further, it's only all going to benefit you.
Excellent. And I think thinking beyond yourself, because I know when I've got my thing, I want to sell my widget, I want to be able to do that, but thinking about the other person and how can I help you? And that I think goes a lot further if you can make it a mutual beneficial kind of a relationship right off the bat. I know my husband's done that quite a bit. I hear him asking all the time, what can I do to help you? What do you need? And how that connects people and how, like you're saying, with that relationship, when somebody is in your corner, it really makes that process go a lot smoother, right?
There's a wise person that I interact with regularly, and his theory is give, give, get. So it's not just what can I do for you, it's how do you follow up with that with something else. So now you've really provided people with a service, a connection, a friendly gesture that they're more open to then give you something. So you can get your get at the tail end of that. But this is all about finding different ways to benefit people. Being a guest on this show, that you're giving me something by doing that. I'm appreciative of that. So that's something I feel that now I want to open up and reciprocate in that process. I do a lot of podcasting, so I'm getting people on. I'm giving them the opportunity to be on the show and then sending them a link so they can then post it and share it with people. There's two opportunities right there, with the hope that they now want to develop that relationship on to back towards my end.
Excellent. Well, and I know as we're coming to the end here, I want to give you a chance for a final thought, take home message that you'd like to leave people with. Howard, why don't you go ahead? What final thoughts might you have, and remind us how we can find you too?
Sure. Selling is hard. It's there's all these sales jobs and all people failing at sales jobs because they don't know how to sell. Uh, Finding the right ways to learn these skills is really important, and you can find me to discuss this more at howardwalpuffswc.com.
Excellent. Grateful that you've been with us here tonight. Debbie, final thought from you?
Well, I think all of us in network marketing, at least, but also just regular sales jobs anywhere, need to talk or at least listen to Howard and find out some great tips and maybe tricks on things that they need to focus on how to get their words right so it appeals to their audience. so they know their audience. So thank you, Howard, for sharing your wisdom with us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Howard, Debbie, Diva, thank you so much for being here tonight. My name again is Sue Roskoff, and for all of us here with Ability MKE Now.